Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Ryan Howell on the line. He's General Manager over at AmPro Inspections. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so excited to get into what you're doing over at AmPro Inspections. Just to kick us off, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the company, please?
Yeah, so we're a U.S. Special Forces veteran-led company. We were founded a few years ago, and we kind of work in the background of a real estate deal. So a lot of people don't buy houses a lot, so they don't know, but there's a bunch of different things that you have to get done to make sure the property is in good working order and that it can legally be transferred to you, and et cetera. And so we're a part of that process.
And so let's dig a little bit deeper. So let's talk a little bit more about how you help, really you're helping deals close, because without going through the process, without that due diligence, I mean, that lets the buyer or the buyer feel confident in what they're getting at the end of the day. So let's just go a little bit further into the process.
Sure. So our process starts generally at the start of the transaction. So in other words, you've been approved, like we'll take a quick timeline. You've been approved for your loan, you're going to go buy the house, you submit your offer, and then the sellers say, yep, we accept this offer and let's get it done. Well, there's a few contingencies that are typically included in a real estate transaction contract, and one of those contingencies, every state's a little bit different, but one of them would be, physical condition. Sometimes they call it an inspection contingency. But what we're looking at is we're doing a visual evaluation of the house, testing out the systems and making sure that, things like air conditioning systems that could cost $20,000 are actually functioning, that they're not super old and, kind of at the end of their life, so that there aren't any large surprises, when you move into the house and realize, I didn't realize that I was going to have to write another $20,000 check for a new air conditioning and heating system, which unfortunately does happen sometimes. So that's kind of our role, is to kind of really just kind of be your eyes and ears, and we're trained to do so, that you're just not going to see as a typical home buyer, because quite frankly you're kind of emotionally charged. There's a lot going on, there's a lot happening. You can't really pay attention to any one thing as well as we could. So that's our role in that transaction.
Yeah, I don't think the inspection side of things get enough credit or get enough media or anything on there. Like the real estate, we get what they do, we get what the title, all these other different things that make a deal happen. What type of clients do you work with? So do you work with homeowners? Do you work with commercial? All of the above? Just trying to get a feel for what's that right fit. Mm-hmm.
We work with both homeowner, residential purchases. Typically, we're working with higher end real estate agents that really have their stuff together. We have really nice systems that make transactions run really smoothly. So we first optimize for that, but we also have a division that handles the commercial end of it too, where we've got technically trained folks that can look at commercial buildings, and that transaction is a little bit different. The tolerances for problems are a little bit higher there. And so commercial is a very different beast, but we do both types of transactions there.
And what markets do you work in?
So we work in the Denver metro area, Colorado Springs area, as well as a town called Pueblo, which is a little bit south of Colorado Springs in Colorado. A lot of Colorado stuff. So that's generally where we're at.
Any kind of trends you're noticing in the real estate market in general in Colorado and kind of in your niche of the world?
Yeah, we've definitely seen the softening of our market. Denver has been similar, not as much, simply because they're a little more resilient with their size. But we've definitely seen a kind of a softening. Our market in Colorado Springs is a little unique in that we have a lot of military families, and so a lot of the housing, particularly the new builds, of which we have a lot, it's tailored to a certain kind of demographic that can afford that. So they kind of build it for what the military families are being compensated for with their BAH. So that's a little bit slightly different type of market, but in general, even with Denver, we've definitely been seeing a softening of the market in terms of just it's been harder to find things that are, where there's some inventory. There's not a whole lot of homes for sale. So, that's kind of the first thing. The second thing is we've been seeing a lot of consolidation too. And I think we're going to continue to see that, particularly now, as we're kind of on the precipice here of what could very well be a very unpleasant economic situation. So we're seeing consolidation. We're seeing different real estate teams kind of joining forces, combining niches that they're really good at to kind of fall under one umbrella. And we do the same thing. We actually hire inspectors that are maybe trying to do everything on their own and don't realize that there's a lot of value in having kind of a team, and there's economies of scale there as well. So
let's talk for a moment to that new home buyer out there right now, because with interest rates being low and with all things happening, they may not know quite exactly what for people that have been through a lot of transactions, they know what the inspection process looks like. They know what it entails. Let's just talk just for a moment to those newbies out there that are getting into their first home about the importance of an inspection and what that means in their transaction.
Yeah. So number one thing that a new home buyer, or maybe someone who hasn't been in a house for a while, maybe been traveling a lot, or just had a lot of it, perhaps living in apartments, there is no such thing as a perfect home. And I say this with a lot of experience. I've been in thousands of homes.
Awesome.
I've been in thousands of homes that have ranged from $50,000 to $20 million, and there's always issues and problems. I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but welcome to home ownership. There is this idea that real estate is only an investment that goes up in value. The reality is that is true most of the time, but it also requires some TLC. And so with that, you're going to see a lot of things on the report. I mean, typically with our reports, if I see 20 or 30 defects, that's pretty normal to see. And I think if you're coming at it the first time, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much on this report. It really comes down to, okay, what are the big items? What's this stuff going to cost to remedy? And what do I need to address right now? That's a safety issue. That's just like an immediate, like a water problem, let's say, that there's a leak somewhere in the house. And what is something that I can put off for a year? And so you can start to kind of put together your budget that way, because you never want to get into a position where, hey, we're house poor, we afforded and I feel like this is almost everyone who purchases a home, no matter what your budget is. You're always you're spending a little bit more than you wanted to. And so what you want to do is just make sure that you're in a very safe position, because things can and do happen, even on homes. We've inspected our own homes. Like we're experts of this stuff. We see hundreds of these things a month and thousands a year, and we still, have problems that will arise in our own home. So certainly it's a very good, it's going to open your eyes a lot to what's going on in the home, but always be prepared that's not a guarantee that nothing's going to happen in the near future too, that things aren't going to break because they do. So it's kind of like Murphy's Law, so.
No, I love it. Now I love that you gave the real of it. Things are going to happen. No home's going to be perfect, so don't freak out when you get an inspection report that has 10 to 20 or 30 things on it, because that's what they're paying you to do, to be your eyes and ears, to see the things that they can't see or that they're not trained to see. But it's okay. Not always okay, but you can make that decision based off of what you obviously your budget and everything else you said. So that is a great overview, and that's exactly what I wanted, Ryan. Hey, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information about AmPro Inspections, what's the best way for them to connect?
So best way to get a hold of us is to go to our website, amproinspections.com, AMPRO inspections.com. There you'll kind of see an overview of our services, and there's a lot of ways to get in touch with us. You can either order, your inspection online if you're in the Colorado, Denver, Colorado Springs area, or if you just have some general questions, we have a large network of inspectors and inspector owners that we know nationally that are absolute top tier, best in class people and companies. So if you're in other states, feel free to give us a call. The phone number is on the website, or shoot us an email, and we will get you to somebody in your local area, like no problem. So.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Ryan, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing over at AmPro Inspections. Also, some updates on the real estate market over in Colorado, so thank you for that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you had fun listening. We had fun making this and bringing it to you. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give that a subscribe and leave us some comments in the video. Love to hear what you're doing, what's going on in the real estate market with you. And Ryan, thanks again for coming on the show.